Welcome to TBL Scope. I'm Kyle Koster. The man in the other box is Brian Jeffra. We're here to talk about the match, a celebrity golf exhibition for charity with big name quarterbacks, with big name golfers on TV with inside access. If there's one person who would have really appreciated this, it's Brian. And I know he was watching, and I want to hear your thoughts on the event, how you processed it, if you think that it's something that they're going to explore in the future without sports, or do you just want to take a step back and celebrate it for what it was, and that was live sports with some big name athletes going at it?
Yeah, so I'll start there. I thought that the way that they handled this was absolutely amazing. From start to finish, the production value was super high, even though they're dealing with, all the rain and the elements. It started getting dark. But I just thought the production was so great. And I actually think that future productions of events similar to this in some ways make a lot of sense. You think about the fact that all the guys had headphones in or earpieces, should I say, and they were able to actually communicate with people in live. I mean, that Brooks Koepka scene on the ninth hole between him and Brady, to me, was one of the big highlights. But Charles Barkley talking smack to Brady, and then Brady literally draining a 150-yard shot, and shutting him up. That sort of stuff, you don't get that just by having, microphones everywhere. It was the fact that the players could hear what was being discussed that really made it a special moment for me. Beyond that, I was actually really impressed with the golf outside of Brady. Peyton Manning, he was actually pretty solid. He hit some amazing iron shots. Tiger Woods looks like he's back fully. Obviously, last April he was back. Then he kind of had the injuries that crept up on him. But I was incredibly impressed with Tiger's game. Really didn't miss maybe one or two shots he missed. I know it's an exhibition. I know it's his home course, but it was just great to see him looking just like the old Tiger Woods. And then Phil Mickelson actually played pretty well. It's kind of what we've become accustomed to with Phil. He has these great moments. He has these kind of tougher moments. But I thought the thing that really stood out about Mickelson was his commentary, whether he was, giving Tom Brady little pointers, talking about his thought process, or just being Fig Jam, his nickname. You can Google that. I can't say that on a PG show, but his nickname really came through. He was so confident. He was telling everybody he hits bombs. He was telling everybody what he was doing, what he was thinking. Phil Mickelson really stood out. Justin Thomas was another standout. Just if he ever wanted to be a commentator with Charles Barkley, I mean, put those guys commentating anything, and I probably would watch it. When he called Charles Barkley fat ass on TV, I cried. I was laughing so hard. I just thought, like I said, the start to finish, you couldn't have asked for anything more. It was live sports, but it wasn't. And that actually felt right given the situation that we're in. Like I said, the golf was solid. Tom Brady, when he was playing bad, actually handled it really well. One thing that I wrote about was about Tom Brady humanizing golf. I don't know if the people out there have ever played golf, and when you're playing bad golf, there is no worse feeling in the world. And that's playing with people that or people that you don't really care about. Tom Brady has built this persona of, I am great at everything. I am good looking. I am the perfect person. But then we saw him be an actual human and not be great at something. He could be great at golf if he played more, but most golfers could say that. So it was just really cool the way that he handled the situation, and the overall production value of the entire thing was just absolutely perfect to me.
Yeah, a couple observations. I think that it's really illustrating how easy it is for people to be likable, to be connected to these analyst jobs or commentary jobs, because I think that it's a reflection of how bad things have been through years. You get someone on there who's halfway normal, who jokes around, who has fun with it, and it's still seen as a bit of an outlier, but just any personality at all really stands out in just being an affable person. I think that everybody playing had that commonality. So I think that it's really easy for like people to elevate themselves. You talk about Justin Thomas and Phil Mickelson. Well, we know that these people are engaging people. Like they are out on the golf course every day. They're chatting with people. Golf is a sport where you need to have that repertoire. You need to be an engaging talk partner because the rounds are so long. So I think that was really interesting. The whole idea of this made for television golf event made me think of the old idea going way back a few years in politics. It was always the idea like, what could they charge on pay-per-view for 18 holes between Trump and Obama, right? With mic'd up to hear what they said. That was always the discussion. Like, people would pay $200, $300 for that. Like, that just would be insane. Now, obviously, they can't do that, but they can do the next best thing, and that's just take the biggest names, kind of like Battle of the Network Stars idea, put them out on a course where they can do things safely, and let us put the microphones there and let us hear what they have to say. Like you said, the production was really great, and that even the weather, which was really iffy, worked out. They figured out a way to get it done, and I thought that was absolutely spectacular. Now, going over to you, we'll talk about the ratings. 5.8 million makes it the most viewed golf event on cable, defeating many reruns of Tin Cup, I might add. But obviously, you can't compare the two because, like I said, this is a far different animal than Friday at the Quaker Oats Invite. In the afternoon. So I don't think that they're particularly analogous, but I think what it's shown is you put anything on TV with stakes or not even stakes like this did, but just be with the outcome in doubt, you are going to get a big number. So I think in the interim, we're probably going to see scramble to replicate this in some form before the major leagues come back in earnest.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually joking around on our chat about the fact that I thought the ratings would be even better if it was Memorial Day because then people would have less to do. But it shows how little people have to do that, 6 million people tuned in. I mean, that's an absolutely massive number for golf. You're talking about Sunday at Masters on national broadcast. So it's insane that they got it. But I also thought another lesson learned was the incorporation of all these other people. You have Russell Wilson, J.J. Watt, Brooks Koepka. You have all these people who are tweeting about this match, and that makes their followers, oh, what is this? Let me get into this. And for a sport like golf, one of the things that they've been trying to do is grow the game. They have this base audience that continues to age. They have a very small segment of young people who like to play, who enjoy watching but aren't like obsessed with it. And when you have 30 events a year, you got to kind of find ways to get people interested in it. And they've tried so many different ways in the past. The PGA Tour, they've highlighted the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Justin Timberlake's a great golfer, and they've given Tony Romo and Steph Curry entry into pro events, albeit on the web.com tour. But they've tried all of these different ways to get people into the game. But I think that the lesson for them to learn there is that they have to use influencers outside of golf in order to grow golf. And you're not going to be able to do it consistently. You're not going to be able to have 6 million people turning in to the Canadian Open or something like that when you have a field that's just usually not as good. But what you can do is you can get some of these people who are, maybe it's a soccer player, maybe it's a hockey player, maybe it's a whoever player who are talking about the event as it's happening, and they get other people interested in it. Of course, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, and Phil Mickelson are a draw, and having them together and having that. And we also have to remember, this was the first time it's happened. Every time it's the first, you always want to be part of it. You always want to see it. You want to see how it goes. You want to judge it. So I think there's, you can't expect to replicate this for sure. But at the same time, I do feel like there's a lot of lessons that not only golf can learn, but other sports can learn as well. It's cool having an NFL quarterback mic'd up. What would be even cooler is hearing what is going on in their earpiece. I've talked about that for a couple of years, that I want to know what the quarterbacks are hearing, even if it's just, you don't understand. It's just jargon to you. But when you heard John Gruden during his quarterback camps and stuff like that talk and say the names of the plays, people still talk about that. I don't remember it. Y2 banana something, spider Y2 banana or whatever it was. But you remember that stuff, and you remember it because they're talking in the jargon that you never hear before. And it's about giving people something that they've never experienced before. And I think that's what this broadcast did so well. You had never experienced anything like that, and they gave it to you in a really clear, well-produced way.
Yeah, I'm a little more skeptical than you are in terms of being able to leverage access, real-time sound, not just in golf, but in baseball as well. That's been the big conversation with baseball is like, well, let's just mic up these players. Let's hear what they have to say. Let's get sounds of the game. Let's do in-game interviews and all that stuff. And I think that all that is really interesting. I don't think that that's how you convert new fans. I think that the thing that sports need to do is, how did we fall in love with sports? We fell in love with the game, the outcome of the game, what was actually happening on the floor. And I do think that attention spans have gotten significantly shorter just in the time that we've been alive. So maybe you do have to reach out and with the bells and the whistles. But if you don't love the actual product, you don't love what's actually going on, like on the approach shot at 14 on Sunday, where the guy needs to get a par to keep pace and stuff like that, the specifics of the sport, I just don't think that you are going to be a return customer. Maybe you are in the short term where you're going to get some ratings boosts on those special events. I just think I think of the same way like baseball. Like, are people actually going to watch a full game just to hear what the right fielder is saying? I don't think so. So I'm a little more skeptical. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's this magical panacea.
But let me jump in really quickly, because I agree with you that you can't have that for the entirety of the match. And you notice that Tiger basically stopped talking for the last hour. And I felt like Tiger felt a lot of pressure because it was his home course, because they were up 3 holes after 9, and they probably should have been up more. But in the end, the game was good. The match was good. Yes, they missed a couple short putts, and maybe it could have been even better if Tom Brady makes that putt on 16. But at the same time, the thing that got you in the beginning was Tom Brady sucking, him and Charles Barkley going back and forth. Because you're right, the 8th hole in a match doesn't really matter, right? It did and whatever, but it doesn't matter unless you have something else going on. I loved Anthony Rizzo talking smack about the Astros as he was in the batter's box that one time in spring training way back when. I mean, I know we can't even imagine that there was spring training this year, but there was. And they tested that with Rizzo. And it was the 3rd inning of a spring training exhibition game. And it was the most entertaining thing that to me came out of spring training. So again, I agree with you. You're not going to convert users, but maybe you're going to get some users to see it that never would have seen it before. And I can tell you that was the most viral moment from MLB's season so far. Obviously, it was spring training, but like that's the only moment of on field that anybody talked about at all. So take that for what it is. I think that having something there, it just adds an element. And maybe you convert people on Twitter or Instagram or wherever they see that Anthony Rizzo talking smack thing. But yes, to your point, like you're not going to get people to watch 162 games based on Anthony Rizzo being mic'd up every single day.
No, and you have a good point, and I would just add that I think that my idea that it's about the games is going to be made even stronger because we've had this period of no games where I'm personally locked into Korean baseball in the morning because it is going on. It is a game. Do I care about the teams? Not really, but it's a game. It's feeling that, and the game, the actual event will buoy it even more, I think, than the bells and whistles going forward. Maybe the last thing to do is, why don't we pick who out of the foursome we were most impressed by?
By what? Tiger Woods by far as a golfer. I mean, Phil Mickelson as a commentator / an insight. I was least impressed by Peyton Manning, even though, for a Joe Schmo golfer who probably plays, a couple dozen times a year, his game was pretty solid. His setup was really weird. I had never seen that before, where somebody puts their lead foot back and then puts it forward. And then Tom Brady for being human and actually allowing that. So it depends on what you want. I'll say Tiger Woods because I love Tiger Woods. He's the person who stood out to me the most.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tom Brady because I think that Tom Brady is an absolute weirdo, just a mutant that unbound by human behavior most times. What you wrote yesterday that he humanized golf. Yeah, he humanized the game. He humanized himself. To see him go out there and struggle. I mean, you want to talk about Fig Jam. He's Fig Jam of football. And for him to go out there and do something that he's not the best at and to struggle at it, I mean, I know he's got plenty to fall back on, but he's a competitor. He's a psychotic competitor. It could not have felt good. So then for him to make that shot was just like, okay, I can still dip in my bag, and maybe, yes, it was probably luck, but I can do this. I thought he acquitted himself really well by being like a normal person out on the course and handling it well. I thought that if I have to pick a winner, I will give it to Brady, because I walked away from that liking him more than I had before. And I'm not sure I'm going to say that about the other guys. I feel like the other guys have kind of all been a little bit baked in.
No, and I'll just say this about Brady: it was good to have that human element, but it did seem like he opened it up for that one moment, and I don't think we'll ever see him be put in that position again. Like if he comes back and plays in another pro-am, he'll do like 4 weeks of boot camp to make sure that he's not, he'll do like Hank Haney's school, like that old Golf Channel show. He will not allow himself, but it was good. And just so we're all clear, he did shank it on 18. So people were like, oh, he played, so much better. But that's because they forget that an alternate shot, the people were hitting, different shots. But he shanked it dead right, and they couldn't even see it. And I saw it off his club head, and it was his worst shot of the day. And nobody talked about it because obviously, as you said, everybody remembers all the good things that he did. So I like your Brady pick, though.
All right, good. So agree to mostly disagree, as always. That's been TBL Scope. He's Brian. I'm Kyle. Thanks for watching.